This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Give up a lot more rush opportunities than we ever have, I think, in a game, and they capitalized, then that late goal at the end of the first, a little bit of a backbreaker. But after that, in the second period, I thought we had some great zone time, some great opportunities. Goalie made some big stops. Even parts of the third there was still lots of opportunity for us to get back, but every time we made a mistake, it went in the back of our net.
Yeah, I didn't much care for the Jets game last night. Tyson Rewicki joining us. Jim Toth is off. I liked what they were able to generate. Lankinen was good. I'm sure the conversation is going to turn to Hellebuck at some point. Didn't have his best game, but he certainly wasn't terrible. Far from it. What can you do when there's constant odd-man rushes and, there's only so much you can do, Tyson. Some backbreakers, too, as well. What did you think?
It was Hellebuck made a bunch of crazy saves, too, in that game. The turnover was his own fault earlier in the first when he dives back.
Yeah, he made some mistakes, no doubt about that, and he probably wants them all back. There's no doubt about it, but that was that second one by Brock Besser. They made the game 4-2. That's not a goal that's not a mistake you normally see.
Yeah, well, and
not from Hellebuck.
I thought the Jets really struggled in the neutral zone, too. Just, not maintaining, the Canucks were just having too much free run to go up and down the ice, and especially on that, there was a couple goals in the first period, or especially the third one right before the period ended.
Yeah,
it was a rough game from that Lowry line at the beginning until they made that switch and kind of shuffled the centers a little bit.
I want to talk to you about that because I want to get your thoughts on that, and potentially if that's we're going to see more of that down the stretch here. Jeff texts the show and says 204-780-6868. Text us anytime. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. Jeff says, texted in before the show even started. He says, brutal game last night. Jeff not happy. Michael sent me this email this morning, and Michael said this. He goes, "Hi, Cam. Long-time listener. Great show. Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it. Hope you're listening right now. Let your panicking listeners know you learn more from a loss than a win. The Jets will be fine." I think they will be fine, but I do think also there's some lessons to be learned here. And I think Scott O'Neill says it best here. This is what happened with the Jets. This is why they ended up losing this game. And I think this 15 seconds here, I think, explains everything to a T.
We got caught at times, maybe being a little over-aggressive. We got in situations where we didn't have our numbers against their numbers, and, they got up the ice in a hurry. And, they were desperate, and, we just made some mistakes, and they capitalized.
Yeah, I think they generated enough. Honestly, I think they generated enough grade A scoring chances to win that game. It was the defense that was not there. Well, it was not what the Jets are known as, and a defensive team, it just wasn't there.
If Kyle Connor pots that one in the first period where he has an empty net, essentially, and just kind of, I think it just got a little bit over anxious and put it right back into the middle.
When they were buzzing, and they were inches away from making it a 3-3 game. Things are different all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, and like you mentioned too, Vancouver was desperate, and this is a team too where I think the message from Rick Tocchet coming into this game too would have been, hey guys, if we make it, we're going to be playing these guys. Now is the time to kind of instill a little bit of doubt early on if we can, right? And we can kind of plant the seed earlier that, hey, we're not going to be an easy outcome playoff time. And, credit the Canucks. They, with their backs against the wall, the Blues ended up winning last night too, and they would have known that kind of coming into the game. They needed this win badly. And so for the Canucks to come in there, get this win, it's huge for them. And I think it's a little bit of an eye-opener for the Jets come playoff time if they do face the Canucks.
Yeah, and it's a lesson learned. And these are the things they have to figure out. They're not going to be perfect. They will let chances go on their opponents off the rush. That's just going to happen. You're not going to stop it. You're playing against a National Hockey League team. But when you cheat too much, you get caught down too low, and the other team can spring through up. And you were talking through the neutral zone. You didn't like it. I agree with you there.
Well, especially that first goal too, where Adam Lowry kind of goes out. He goes to lay that hit. At center ice, and Appleton once he saw Lowry going for that hit, Appleton immediately should have been going for the trailer, and he was just late on it, and that's what results in that first goal.
let's get to some text messages here. Ed says, "You guys kidding me? Hellebuck was horrible last night."
Whoa.
Oh, I don't think he was horrible. I think he was far from horrible.
Well, and you're looking at one-timers, deflections. There was I believe it was the fourth goal where the puck kind of trickled through.
That was the second one from Besser.
That one.
Yeah. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Ed, I'm telling you right now, I will give you that one. I'll give you that one. But the other ones, again, and that Besser goal generated off the rush. They were moving quick, and like that one with 3 seconds left, that was a killer.
Backbreaker.
That was a backbreaker too.
They just didn't have the Jets they didn't have the beans in that game.
They didn't have they lost their beans. So I'm not. Here's Arniel Hellebuck.
At the end of the day, it was, if it's 50, 60 shots coming at him, it's a little different thing. But like I said, a lot of them, they were mistakes that we made and ended up in the back of the net, whether there's coverage or off the rush. And you know what, we know what he's done for us all year long. And we'll just get right back on the horse and he'll go back at Edmonton.
And Mike off Henderson says this. He says, would there be any strategic reason for the Jets to purposely lose the game last night, as I didn't see one player putting in their typical effort? No, there's no strategic reason.
No.
That in a National Hockey League, in an organization in the NHL, that conversation has never, I don't think it's been had once, unless you were the Buffalo Sabres trying to tank to get Connor McDavid, and then they had to settle for Jack Eichel. I think maybe they were talking about that, but...
And if it is, then you got some serious problems there.
Your organization, if that conversation is even had, your organization is dead.
Yeah.
Everybody that has that talk needs to be fired immediately. Because if that's leaking in, if we lose, or strategically, numbers, I'm crunching the numbers. No.
Well, look at Buffalo. That's honestly what's happening with Buffalo. I'm not saying that they're intentionally going out there losing games this year, but they did it in the McDavid sweepstakes, and now you just breed that loser culture.
When they fired Teddy Nolan, Don Cherry cursed them. I remember it. It was on Hockey Night in Canada. Says, the hockey gods will come for you, Buffalo. Paraphrasing.
Hey,
they haven't made the playoffs yet. They're last place in the East. This texter says, if the Jets play Vancouver in the first round, looks like there will be another first round exit. That is a little... Okay, I'm going to read Michael's text message, email earlier today again. Hi, Cam, longtime listener. Great show. Just wanted to read that part again.
No big deal.
Let your panicking listeners know you learn more from a loss than a win. The Jets will be fine. The Jets have done great when they have to respond to teams too. When they lose, their level to get up for the next game and the ability to respond has been great this year. So and let's not lose our head. They beat the crap out of Vancouver earlier this year too. So this is just recency bias. That's all this is.
And everything went right for Vancouver in this game. What happens if the Jets jump out to an early lead and all of a sudden Vancouver gets that doubt crept into their mind? There was one play in particular where Josh Morrissey lit up. I think it was Lekaramaki on Vancouver. He lit him up. And Dakota Joshua, they signed him to a pretty solid contract last offseason. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of the guy who's supposed to stick up for guys. He just glided right by and didn't do a single thing. Yeah. And if the Jets are going into Vancouver and imposing their will and they're laying the body and that kind of attitude is seeping through the Canucks, I do not like their chances one bit in a playoff series.
Daryl says, yes, Helly was having a great game, but it's so painful for announcers to say he didn't have his best game. Just call it what it was, a terrible game. Not talk about the amazing save. What that was his own doing. Thank you for saying that today. The one goal where he didn't cover the puck quick enough in front of him, it was in quicksand all night. Wipe it off. Start again. Yeah, Daryl. You're not gonna dwell on it. You're gonna go against Edmonton. But I'm not going to sit here and say Hellebuck did not make a series of great saves over the course of that game. Was it his best game? Was it absolutely the one that he's going to put on his mantelpiece when all is said and done and be the one, I'm most proud of that game on March 18th, 2025 against the Canucks. They said I wasn't good. No, it wasn't Hellebuck's best game, but he was not the reason why they lost that one.
Do you think that we have to take a little bit of the blame?
What do you mean?
After Tuesday's show? We did put a little bit of a jinx on them.
Oh, we asked if Hellebuck had ever been, if he had ever been pulled. Still hasn't.
No, yeah, we're still right.
Yeah, still right. The third line, you saw Iafallo, Tanev, and Lowry move up. And Iafallo sort of hinted in the postgame that might be something that can be, that potentially could be expected next game in Edmonton. What do you think of that line? Is that a better third line?
They got more jump for sure. And I mean, even on the Jets' second goal there, Brandon Tanev's work down low and in front of the net is the sole reason for that goal happening. And you could tell Elias Pettersson was furious with Tanev. Like, he wanted to kill him after that goal happened. And so I don't mind it. I honestly want to see, come playoff time, I think I want to see Adam Lowry move up.
Yeah.
In between Nick Ehlers and Cole Perfetti.
That second line was good, though.
They were.
Ehlers scored. They've been playing well.
I like the idea of having, I mean, Adam Lowry's line realistically is the second line, even if we want to, like, if we're judging off scoring potential, but time on ice wise, Adam Lowry's line is going to be the second line. I just think come playoff time, I wouldn't mind seeing Vlad Nemestikov's good. I would prefer him in that third line role, playing against other teams' third lines, and Adam Lowry can kind of be that guy who mucks things up kind of on the boards, is that defensive presence, and allows Nick Ehlers a little bit more freedom to kind of freewheel a little bit.
204-780-6868. Send us a text. Like this texter, Fleury and Miller have been total liabilities in the last two games. This pairing can't continue. Well, I don't know. Bring Stanley back in. Miller's not going anywhere. He's the right side.
Need Pionk back.
Yeah.
He's
an important part of this team. Right? He is an important part. Let's take a break. Let's come back. Hey, J.P Vigier, former NHLer, contributor here on 680 CJOB. I got some questions for him. I want to ask him if there's too much anticipation for the playoffs over this final month. The struggles of managing the Jets' schedule and everything when you had this 9 points now over the Stars as of this morning, how you manage that. We'll talk to JP Vigier. I caught up with him earlier this morning. We'll play that audio for you as well. No one's betting on the Jets. We took a look at a couple of odds sports books. We'll discuss that as well.
Samula.
Yeah, 6. The first 6 for Team Canada at the Olympics. Apparently they're coming out. It's going to come out in June, according to Pierre LeBrun. Who's our first 6? Well, we'll pick it when we come back.
Jets at noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, Pierre LeBrun recently put this out there on X. The first 6 is going to be announced in June for each national team at the Olympics. I'll give you mine first, and I'll let you agree or disagree with me. My first 6, I'll take the first unit power play at the Four Nations. Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, Sam Reiner. Those guys are going to be on the team. And then it's a little bit more iffy between these 3, Mitch Marner, Mark Scheifele, and Brandon Hagel. I'm not so sure. Now, I don't think it's going to be Scheifele. As much I put him on the list because he is up there in points. It's either Marner or Hagel, and my brain tells me Marner, but my gut tells me Hagel.
That's the Hockey Canada pick. But I mean, Marner was really good at the Four Nations tournament.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't be surprised about Josh Morrissey either. To be honest, I think I really do believe that Josh Morrissey.
He had a great tournament.
I think he's a top 5 defenseman in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Trying to keep bias out of it, I truly do believe at this point in time he's a top 5 defenseman in the entire NHL.
We'll be right back. JP Vigier, what does he think? Is there too much anticipation for the playoffs? We'll get his thoughts when I ask him that when we come back. Welcome back. Cam Poitras, Tyson Rowicki, Jim Toth is off. Jets at noon brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program. Let's get to some, we'll get JP in just a second here. Caught up with him earlier this morning. Here's Nick Paul here. The real Nick Paul.
Oh.
Wow.
The
Jets came out soft and didn't respect the Canucks as much as they should have. Stop hitting the panic button. I agree with your email from Michael. We absolutely have to stay hungry for the cup, like all year. This texter says, Helly did not have a Picasso. Mental errors crept in. Fatigue can cause that. As discussed yesterday, his load management needs to be addressed between now and the playoffs. I asked JP about that. We'll get his answer on that, so stay tuned. Rob says, guys, we lost strictly because of the defense. Yeah, Rob, you're totally right about that. It was defensive breakdowns. Miller and Fleury should not be paired together. Fleury shouldn't even be playing. Yeah, so that's from Rob.
And
Is there calls for Logan Stanley to return to the lineup already?
I don't know about that. There might be a few,
man. I don't know.
One thing I did want, like, it was the defense fault as well, but the Jets have been so good at back pressuring off the rush all season, and they just didn't really have that back pressure from the forwards.
And when you get caught in so many odd man rush situations, a lot of that has to do with the forwards just not coming back.
Yeah.
It's turnovers, and they're too far, and they're too deep in the O zone, and that's when the puck comes out, right? So I'm not going to settle that all on the defense. That's a 5-man unit. Those are the 5 guys out there that cause odd man rushes. Jeff says, "Good afternoon. Last night's game was what needed to happen. About time they got spanked, especially beat by a team they could possibly be facing in the playoffs. Got to be on your game when the playoffs come." Gary says, "To blame Hellebuck for any losses beyond ridiculous. The guy has allowed the team to win many games they had no business in. He's the best in the league and does not deserve criticism from any so-called fans." That from Gary. Robert says, "Hey, Cam and Tyson, it's only the second game of the season the Jets have given up 6 goals." Chris says, "If the Jets lose on a late night West Coast game and I'm not awake to see it, did it happen?" Well, Chris, I was awake and I am exhausted.
I do like the attitude there, though.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
That's exactly.
Undefeated. I never watched a loss.
It's on the record, but I didn't see anything. Fraser says, "Guys, that really sucked. Time to put on your big boy pants. Appleton, Niederreiter, both -3. They looked like same old first round and out, regardless who they play." Well, Fraser, just hold on a second here. They won 3 games in a row prior. They won 5 of 6, and they had a tough loss last night to the Canucks, where offensively, I'll say it again, they generated enough to win that game in grade A's, but they didn't bury them, and their defense failed them. And they have a chance against Edmonton. So they beat Edmonton tomorrow. Everybody feels better, and it's going to be a fun free-for-all Friday.
Well, and what do you I wonder if people have been able to catch some of the Dallas games, because if you're concerned about the Jets play from their play over this last recent stretch,
yeah,
the Stars, man, they don't look much better right now.
They just got by Anaheim, coming back, scoring in the third period, and then winning it in overtime. But yeah, they do move a little bit up on the Jets. Murray says, I got 4 more here, and then we'll get to JP. Yeah, I kind of like the idea about Lowry moving up with his 2 line mates right now. Aren't really helping him much, and the playoffs are a different animal with the toughness and all that. I can see that being a good thing, and I can't see us having any trouble with Vancouver in the playoffs if we need to play them. Maybe one game we lose. That's it. Optimism from Murray. Kyle says, Brodeur isn't the most overrated goalie of all time, which Tyson has said many times. Hellebuck is. Kyle, better idea is to put Lowry at 4C. The Jets trade deadline was awful. Should have traded for Cody Glass instead of Tanev. Glass is a big young center with RFA control and only went for a third, which was less than what Chevy gave for a 4th liner. But they can't. But let's keep making excuses for Shovel Day off. Kyle's not happy with where the Jets are right now.
Cody Glass. Right now, Cody Glass is playing up in the lineup in New Jersey because of the injuries they have. I watched a decent amount of his games. I hope that he puts things together, but man,
I think Kyle likes Cody Glass because he's from Winnipeg.
Which is fair.
Which is fair.
Support the local.
Joe says they didn't. Why didn't they start Comrie with Edmonton coming up? Well, Hellebuck's going to be playing. He's playing in Edmonton, guys. He's playing in Edmonton. And Richard says it seems like the Jets were trying to play catch up. Maybe they should have slowed the game down and put Vancouver back on their heels. That one from Richard, aka Maximus. So is he giving himself that name, Maximus Richard?
I love it.
Does he go? Does he say this when anyone ever tries to come after him? He goes, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the one true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I'll have my vengeance in this life or the next."
Sir, this is a Wendy's. Can you please keep it down?
Russell Crowe did that better than me, but all right. Download the Jets at Noon podcast free now on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, wherever you find your favorite podcasts, with exclusive Jets talk and content only found there. And to Jets at Noon wherever you go, and continue the conversation whenever you want. I caught up with J.P. Vigier, owner of Vigier Hockey, former NHLer, as well as 680 CJOB contributor. We talk all about the Winnipeg Jets. Hello, JP. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Yourself?
Doing great. When you're the Winnipeg Jets, and you're playing with a lead like they are right now. And as of this morning, it's 9 points ahead of the Dallas Stars. The Stars have 2 games in hand. They're upwards still of 88, according to Money Puck, 88.1% chance of getting first in the Central Division. What are the challenges of being this far ahead with still 13 games left to go?
Well, there's lots of challenges, right? Let's be clear. You're not looking at just the standings. And yes, I believe finishing first is very important this year. I don't know if it's more than other years, but if I look at it, would you rather play Dallas, Colorado, or would you rather play Minnesota, Vancouver, or St. Louis if they get in, right? So pretty cut and dry. You don't want to go to Dallas and Colorado. You don't want to have to go through both of those teams to get out of the conference. So I think it's very important. So I think motivationally wise, no problem. There's lots on the line. The Winnipeg Jets know that. 2, there's things about their game they still want to adjust. They still want to tweak. They want to modify. They want to grow, and they want to solidify, right? There's pieces of the puzzle that probably are always evolving. There's pieces of the puzzle that Scott Arniel wants to adjust. So when it comes to game 83, they are a well-oiled machine.
How does it feel waiting for the playoffs like they are right now? I mean, it's still a month away. Is too much anticipation a problem?
It can be, but I believe what the Winnipeg Jets have done really well this year is look to the next game and the next challenge. They haven't looked a month ahead. Right now, I feel with the effort of the results of yesterday's game, the challenge becomes, can they control Connor McDavid on Thursday and Leon Draisaitl, who's having a fantastic year, and get back to their game? They haven't given up 6 goals in a long time, and the way they went about giving up those 6 goals wasn't really to their identity. And I saw a little bit of a tweak in the lineup, something we haven't seen, especially on the bottom 6. We've seen adjustments on the top 6. But now does this open the door for possibly what Scott Arniel might think is his 5th or 6th napkin in the last little bit?
Yeah, it's interesting too, because after the game, Alex Iafallo sort of indicated, when we're going to wait and see, we'll see at the morning skate tomorrow for sure, but there was sort of an indication that this was something he was going to look at and to continue on into Edmonton as he continues to tweak things. So that's interesting. And JP, it's not any different than this year, right? I mean, I know that they had to get to the dance, but this season has all been about making amends for last season's playoff disappointment, right? So this is not like new territory for the Winnipeg Jets, where it's like they're working towards the postseason. Everybody's working towards the postseason, but the Winnipeg Jets have a different mentality, I feel.
And I think that's been from the start of the year. You really felt, and I'm not sure what the difference of what Scott Arniel's messaging has been compared to Rick Bowness, but you just feel there's more of a galvanization amongst the players. I don't know if they had group conversations over the summer of BS, we shouldn't have gone out, we got to do something different, or Scott Arniel just kind of helped mold the thought process of the players into that pedigree that we want to see. Winnipeg Jets having a fantastic year. Of course, they could lose the next 13 and win the Stanley Cup after that, and everything's perfect. They could win the next games and lose 4 straight, and everyone's like, we knew this was going to happen. So the proof is going to be at game 83. The rest of the season matters for standings and getting ready, but let's be clear, game 83 to whatever it needs to get to, that's going to be the measuring stick, because right now the Winnipeg Jets, the class of the National Hockey League, have to find their way past game 83. That's the mark that everyone's looking for, and you almost have to, I call it harden, before you get there, because there's going to be obstacles in the playoffs. It's not going to be sweep 4, win 16 games, call it a day. Right? There's going to be obstacles. We saw it last year with Colorado, how Colorado was able to elevate their game and expose some of the Jets' weaknesses and really keep them on their heels. Now, the Winnipeg Jets have to learn from that and be able to adjust quickly, because, even if they're playing the Vancouver Canucks, there's going to be some challenges. They showed some challenges yesterday against Vancouver. So there's going to be obstacles the Jets are going to have to overcome. So the hardening has to happen now and learn from their mistakes, adjust, so it doesn't carry over into the next. And I think that's what's going to be the challenge over the next 13 games.
How much of the outside world leaks in? Like, none at all, eh?
None. No, like let's be clear. The guys might have X and they might look, on those things, but they're not listening to any of the, doubters, all the haters. They don't listen. Like, as a former player, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have all the social media. We never read the newspaper. We couldn't give two farts what people said, right? It's all about what we felt about. Really, like, what are you going to say? I'm out there playing. I'm in the battle. I know I'm doing the best I can. Did I make a mistake? Yes. Is it, thanks, Captain Obvious. We know we should have made that play, right? It's, can I just move on and grow? Because this is such a long marathon with a short sprint on each level, and then the mental strength it takes on a day-to-day basis. And it sounds all cliche, but it is so true. Like, so the Jets didn't have their best game. Now the shift becomes, how do we mentally prepare for the next one? Okay, what do we do wrong? And that's what the evaluation probably is today. I'm not sure if it's a day off or if they're going to have a light practice. The video session, these were the 4 details that we didn't do well. These are the 4 details we have to overcome. And then, oh yeah, by the way, Edmonton, these are the 3 changes we have to make into what we're looking for, because Vancouver doesn't play the same way as Edmonton. And yes, Vancouver has good players, but they don't have Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl to key on. What's the matchup going to be? Is it going to be Scheifele? Or is it going to be the new look 3rd and 4th line modifications that are going to attack those players to allow Scheifele to create a little more offense? Because Edmonton's been giving up some goals. So very interesting matchups on how we're going to go about this. But it all becomes the chess match, and it's such a quick turnaround. No player's like, oh, we're still in first, it's okay. They're like, no, that's BS. That wasn't our best effort. Adam Lowry is going to be the first to say that wasn't our best game. We have to be better at getting it on the forecheck, staying above our checks, and tightening up our neutral zone back check, because we gave up too many odd man rushes. And let's be clear, Edmonton's going to survive off scoring off the rush.
Should Hellebuck rest more? Do you buy into that narrative that he's been tired the last couple of playoff rounds?
No. I don't buy into the narrative that he was been tired. I believe, just like yesterday, at moments he was left out to dry. And we've seen him make the saves, but he can't make every save every time. So I think the discrepancy has to be, the players in front have to be tight. Yes, he has to be fresh. There's 13 games left in the season. It's probably kind of an 8-5 split in my mind. If things go according to plan and they're continuing to win and be in first place, if things tighten up, I think it's maybe more of a 9-4, 10-3 kind of thing. I think it's more important to have him playing right as opposed to overplay and be fatigued or underplay and be rusty. So there's a fine line in between that, and I'm pretty sure between Wade Flaherty, Scott Arniel, and Connor Hellebuck, the conversations are being had. What is too much? What is not enough? Because you want to have rhythm. Connor Hellebuck likes the rhythm. What is that rhythm? What is the fine line? Maybe it's 1 or 2 more starts for Comrie if things are going right. But I think it's more important that Connor Hellebuck be playing the right way going into the playoffs than be overtired or over-rested.
Yeah, I don't buy it either, JP. You can find his stuff at vjhockey.com, VIGIER hockey.com, CJOB contributor and former NHLer. JP, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time. Take care.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great day.
Great stuff there by J.P. Vigier. What did you think? 204-780-6868. Let's take a break. Let's come back. On the other side, we got a lot more takes from you guys about last night's loss to the Vancouver Canucks. We'll squeeze those on. We'll give away the Wash Method car wash. I'll tell you what our VIP text is as well. Why is no one betting on the Winnipeg Jets?
Because they're foolish.
You know what? I'm not a gambler because, listen, I love betting on sports. Okay? I'm not, when I say that I don't like something,
like it a lot.
Like, it's like smoking, okay? I like smoking. No one should ever smoke. I will not smoke. I won't do it. It's not good for you. It's terrible for you. I don't want to be a role model for my son. Like, there's lots of reasons why. But do I enjoy smoking a cigar or whatever? Yeah, I do. But I won't do it. Do I enjoy gambling on sports? Yes, I do. But I don't do it. Because I'm
It's a
cheap.
slippery slope. That you
I don't do it. I don't do it. So I'm not a gambler at all. I know I'm not a gambler. So I get why people wouldn't bet on the Jets, but come on. We'll talk about that after this. Welcome back to the show. Cam Poitras, Jim Toth. Jim off this week. Let's give away our Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. The VIP takes going to Lauren A. Says, Cam, as Yoda would say, do or do not. There is no try. This phrase is an inspiration to us all. It's definitely an inspiration to me. When I need to get, jacked up, I listen to Yoda talking to Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back.
Just on loop.
He goes we are beings, not this crude matter. The Force surrounds us, binds us.
Can you imagine if you talk like that in public, though?
Oh,
People would think you're crazy.
rightfully so. But Lauren A., thank you so much for that text message. You are getting the VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. Real quick here as well. Patrick says, my God, these people ragging on the Jets after one loss. They're only going to be happy if they win 82 games. Ridiculous. Jets are awesome. One bad game. It's going to happen. They're still going all the way. As Knuckles says, Bob Irving, dare to dream, boys. Dare to dream. Alan says, hi, guys. You can't bring it every night. Vancouver came desperate and prepared. My question is, where is Nito Niederreiter? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if you see Iafallo, Tanev, and Lowry together in Edmonton. That's going to be something that we need to look out for. Play Now rankings have the Jets with the sixth best odds to win the Cup, behind Florida, Dallas, Edmonton, Colorado, Carolina, tied with Vegas. FanDuel, exactly the same. DraftKings has an eighth best, the Jets, behind Dallas, Florida, Edmonton, Colorado, Washington, Tampa, Carolina, and then Vegas, Toronto, and Winnipeg are tied. What do you think about this?
Hey, hungry dogs run faster.
That's right.
You know what? Vegas wants to make money off of people.
Yeah.
They're going to put the team that, I think there's a lot. The consensus out there is that the Jets just don't have it right now. But you know what? Hey, you said you're not a gambler? Well, Cam, you know what? I am a little bit of a gambler. And you know what? I'm going to toss a little bit on the Jets because that's
you putting a fin down or are you throwing a dime?
Oh, a responsible fin.
I'm putting down 2 bits.
Holy.
It's 25 cents.
Couple Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's 25 cents to the young kids out there. Tyson Rickey's going to keep you all the way until 2 o'clock. Thanks very much, Jeffrey Forte, for producing the show. That's it for me. Back same time tomorrow. See ya.